Hi, this is Stu Hamm coming to you with John Liebman from the NAMM show at the Warwick booth 2018. And I'm just here to pump for bass players only, because we're only bass players, so that's who it's for.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com, coming to you from the 2018 Winter NAMM Show, Anaheim, California, with our very old friend Stu Hamm. Stu, what's up?
What's going on, dude? Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Last interview we did, I think, was way back in 2015, I think, and I know a lot of stuff has happened. You were talking about your then new Warwick bass and your then new record. Was it Pack of Lies? No, what was it?
It's called The Diary of Patrick Xavier.
The one that we were talking about.
Oh, The Book of Lies.
The Book of Lies, okay. And now you yet again have another, you prolific dude, you have another record that's so new it's not even out yet. That's right. And it's called The Diary?
The Diary of Patrick Xavier.
And who is or was Patrick Xavier, in case anybody doesn't know?
Well, the deal is that, you know, I went through this whole life-changing event a couple years ago. So I took about 18 months off and just decided to travel, right? Take every gig I could and sort of go searching for something, right? And I'm always reading. And when I'm done with the book, I'll put it in like the library of the hotel or whatever, hide in the room, and so someone else can find it. So I did that. I was staying in Italy, this little town in Italy.
Is that where all those Bibles come from?
That's it. I put this book that I just finished reading, this book by Joseph Conrad, and I noticed this diary, and it was a diary written by an American guy who was sort of going through the same sort of thing. He's not a musician, but he decided to travel and was sort of asking the same eternal questions of what's it all about. And as I read the diary, it turns out we'd actually been to some of the same places, right? So I had this idea to write music about his diary and my experiences of the same places, right? And I took photographs of all the places that I visited, that we had visited. So, and I've got short stories that go along with every song I wrote, and pictures to sort of talk about how reading what he wrote compared to my experiences dealing with these issues, and how I had tried to express that musically. And it's all solo bass. It's also in one way, it's also meant to be just a record of beautiful music that you can put on and listen to for 50 minutes and not know that it's incredibly difficult to play.
You've always struck me as a curious person and a deep thinker.
Curious person. I'm curious. I'll go with that. Yeah.
Let us know when you get the answers. On the last record, you also had, what was it, a suite of like 7 tunes?
Yeah, the petite suite for solo bass. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, but this record is entirely unaccompanied solo bass.
That's correct, and some of it's a little pretty experimental. You know, it's either going to be the biggest thing that I've ever done and get me onto NPR and film scoring, or else it'll be a career bomb. But the playing is really good. It's very subtle. I'm in a phase of my life where I love to listen to like ambient music, and as a wave called postmodernist minimalist, like people like Arvo Pärt and Max Richter. And when I put on those records, it makes me feel good. Right? There's also a great Pat Metheny record called One Quiet Night. It's just a beautiful solo bass, and also when you get past the fact that I'll never sound like a pianist, right? So it's me playing. So there's fret buzz, and you can hear my hand moving down the neck, and it's, you know, you're naked when it's solo bass. And
Quahogs?
For quahogs, but you know, when you're in the studio, you can try anything to fix that and make it not sound like that's actually what it sounds like when your guy's playing a bass. So this is very raw in that aspect. But you know, no one ever asks me. Every song I write is about something, but no one ever asks me about that. They always say, "What kind of strings do you use?" or "How do you use the double?" And that's just so boring. So I thought I would put the cart before the horse and explain what the songs are about in this record.
Yeah, even going way back when you and I did that project in, would you believe it was 1991 when we got together, and you had, what was a tune called? Was it Count Zero? And you had everything, like you just said, was about something, and I always admired and respected that about you.
Well, I mean, some forms of music, like, you know, if virtuosity is the point of the music, the virtuosity of the players, you know, that's sort of gets boring. I mean, you're telling a story, and if the story you're trying to tell is, look how fast I can play E minor pentatonic funk, that story gets old real quick.
Oh, who does that? We don't know anybody that does that. I should mention we're sitting here at the Framus and Warwick booth at the NAMM show, and you just met with our old friend Marcus Spangler about what? You've got a new bass coming out. Tell us about it.
You know, it's just it's been in development for a while. I've got a few prototypes, and then he finally built me one to spec that I'm sure my Facebook fans will know came to a ugly demise due to someone who shall remain nameless doing a very poor packing job, and it got destroyed in transit. So we've tried to patch it up, because all the basses I played are the prototypes, and this was meant to be the first actual built bass with everything perfect that we did. So
I think you were just on a tangent. You were telling me that story, I think, at the Token Lounge in Westland, Michigan, when you were playing with Greg Howe, and you were telling me that story.
How many times have I played the Token Lounge? But you know, the other thing that's really cool,
not enough,
about this record is that, as you can imagine, no one is like beating down the door to give me 40 grand to do a solo bass record of ambient inspirational music.
It's kind of a niche thing.
Kind of a niche thing in the tour. So I had this great
idea. There are people that appreciate it.
Yeah, well, so I started this Indiegogo campaign. By the time this comes out, it'll probably be ended. But what a great way to raise money, because I was selling anywhere from $5 you can buy a pick. You can get pre-ordered CDs. You can hire me to play on your CDs. You can have Skype lessons. You can be involved as a producer in the record. And for the tour, I'm selling VIP packages for people. You know, you spend like $250, you get 2 tickets to the show. You get to come to sound check. You get signed copies of the CD.
Wherever you happen to be, as long as you're playing there.
And I've also had this great thing. They're called perks. One is you can be my tour manager roadie for a day. At each gig, one person gets to show up, help me load in.
Your schlepper.
It's my schlepper. I mean, there are people that would love to do that. If I'd had the chance to do that when Michael Mandarin came to town, I'd pay it. And you get to have dinner with me and spend the whole day. So it's a really, really new paradigm and creative way to raise money for the artistic processes. And it's not just asking people money because they get something back. Whether it's a signed CD, an hour Skype lesson, a conversation, a meet and greet. It's really great. It's the wave of the future.
Okay. And what about the future? What about after the record comes out? What about after the tour? I have a feeling you're tinkering with something. Are you always excited about a new technique that you just discovered? You showed me something at a NAMM show where your fingers were like this and then they moved in opposite directions, and you're talking about thirds and sevenths and things like that. So do you have something else in the works for after this new record comes out?
Man, right now I'm just trying to get through the physical logistics of getting the record out and proofreading the text and making sure that all the people's names are on it that donated, and setting up the tour and all that stuff. And then as soon as that tour ends, I go to the Reunion Island in France to do a festival with Guthrie Govan, and I do some dates with some French musicians. That takes us to April, and then I think I'm going to move, and then a bunch of stuff in the works for the fall. Alex Skolnick and I are going to be doing a record, and I just did a gig.
Glad I asked.
Tuesday with Tony McAlpine and Gergo and Mohini Day. So Tony and I might be doing something.
Wow.
And
how's he doing? He's doing okay?
He's incredible, yeah.
Good.
And he does this thing where he plays keyboards and guitar at the same time in solos. It's just unbelievable.
Wow.
And Mohini was insane, man. She's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. I saw her name with your stuff, too. Wow, that's great. And do you have an official release date for the record?
It's down to the wire. Yeah. I'm up all night pre-addressing envelopes, and so I can ship them out. And then I'll have the CDs for sale on the tour, and hopefully I'll have time to send them to CD Baby, so they'll be available for mass consumption.
Let us know for sure when it's out, and we will let all these people know. The title again, The Diary of...
Diary of Patrick Xavier, and no one gets that because, I mean, obviously it's not the guy's real name, but Patrick Xavier, right? What does it mean to you?
Well, I thought of Xavier Cugat, but
all right.
But I know I'm way off.
There's an obvious hint there. Because we travel, it's about 2 people who travel all the time and do diaries. So
I got you. I got you.
Explain it. What am I talking about?
All right. Well, we gotta go, but we are out of time. I'll tell you when we get off camera here. But Stu, it's always great to see you. Congratulations on the new record.
Beautiful family.
And yes, they are. And congratulations on the new record. Congratulations on the new bass. And we will meet again soon. And we will look forward to that. on location from the Framus and Warwick booth at the 2018 Winter NAMM Show, Anaheim, California, with my good dear friend, Stu Hamm. I'm John Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.